This is the second lecture of the series Geography, which is about the origin of the universe. So before we begin this lecture, I would like to recap what we have done in the lecture 1. So lecture 1 was about the introduction of the geography, in which we have studied the basic definition of geography, which was the study of Earth and its people. And from here, what we have derived that Earth has two parts. The first one was the living and the other one was the non-living. So the non-living structure of Earth, we study the non-living part under the physical geography portion and the living part. So before living part, one thing we have tried to figure out that under which part of the Earth life exists. So we call that part as the biosphere. Biosphere is the sphere of life and the part of Earth on which the life exists. And this biosphere consists of the lithosphere, the atmosphere and the hydrosphere. So this is what we have studied under the living part of the geography. And in this biosphere, we studied that there were mainly broadly two types of living species. The first we have categorized as the human, and in the second, the all other living species. Study of human we given the special name, and that was the human geography. And under this, we have studied that how the population varies under the different portion of the Earth, in the continent, in country wise. So we have studied that. Okay. So this was brief about the introduction to the geography. Okay. So now we will study how this universe in its current form came into existence. So this is called the origin of the universe. So before we move, first of all, we should understand what is universe. So universe is everything that exists is called universe. It might contain several stars, planets, galaxies and various other celestial bodies. So whatever exists is called the universe. So now the thing is that does the universe was as it is now, or was it different than the present time? So the most accepted theory which described the universe and how it began, the origin, is the Big Bang theory. So Big Bang was an explosion which took place nearly 13.7 billion years ago. This is the time when the origin of universe started. Okay. There are various other theories as well, but the most accepted now is the Big Bang theory, because there are certain proof according to this theory, and which by the means of science and the laws we can relate that yeah, this could be the possibility of the origin of the universe. So let's begin with the Big Bang. So what happened before the Big Bang? I mean before this explosion, there was a tiny ball. There was a tiny ball, and we call this ball as the gravitational singularity. Gravitational singularity. So the quality of this ball was that the density of this ball was infinite. The temperature was also infinite, and all the universal forces was very dense in nature. So here the question arises, what are the fundamental or the universal forces? There are four different types of fundamental forces. The two are the gravitational force, electromagnetic force, and the weak and strong nuclear forces. Okay. So these four fundamental forces inside this tiny ball was very dense in nature. It means बहुत ही ज़्यादा इसको जकड़ के रखे हुए थे as per this theory. Okay. So now then suddenly what happened? An explosion took place, and this explosion was happened nearly 13.7 billion years ago. So after this tiny ball, there was an explosion, and this explosion we called as the Big Bang, or BB, the Big Bang. Once the explosion happened, I mean this tiny ball has busted away, and now the creation of subatomic particle took place. So these are the theories. Okay. So as per this theory, there was a tiny ball nearly 13.7 billion years ago. There was an explosion and the formation of subatomic particles. And what are the subatomic particles? The particle inside the atom, or the simplest form of particle, the tiny particle The main examples are the electron, proton, neutron, positron, and etc. etc. Okay. So these are the subatomic particle which was created just after the explosion. So these was created just within the 1 to 3 minutes of this explosion. 1 to 3 minutes of this explosion, these subatomic particles was formed. And we all know that the subatomic particle in nature is not a stable form. We all know that electron, free electron is in its stable form. So what happened? Various subatomic particles combined together and they form the atom. So now what happened? Atom has been created or atom has been formed. Okay, so atomic particles were formed. Why formed? Because the subatomic particles were not in its stable form. So to stabilize themselves, subatomic particles combined and formed the atomic particle. And we all know that in the periodic table, the simplest atom which can be formed is the first one. And what is the first one? The hydrogen. And the second one is the helium. So being the hydrogen the simplest in nature, the first atomic particle which were formed was the hydrogen. Now what happened? After the formation of this atomic particle, microwave radiation happened. Now the question arises, why microwave radiation happened? Because we all know when this explosion took place, around 27, this is the number, at around 27% of the mass of the universe disappeared. So this mass was disappeared. Of the remaining mass, the following things were happened. And we all know that radiation is nothing but the form of energy. And matter can be transformed into energy as per the Einstein theory, which is E is equals to mc square. So matter can be formed in the form of energy, and microwave radiation is nothing but the energy. So microwave radiation happened. And after this microwave radiation, because the microwave radiation consists of different kind of wavelengths. Okay. So before we move forward, let's have a look around the microwave radiation. So after understanding the microwave radiation, we will come back to this slide. Okay. So this is the microwave radiation in its current form. A tiny portion of this microwave radiation is known as the visible light. Very tiny. And we name it as VIBGYOR. Okay. So this is the portion of microwave radiation which is visible light. Okay. Other human eyes cannot see. Okay. Be it above or below. So as we move away from the red light, means infrared, microwave or radio wave, the energy goes decreasing. And as we move above the from the violet side, that is the ultraviolet, X-ray and gamma ray, the energy increases. Okay. So this side the frequency is increasing, so the energy is increasing, and from this side the frequency is decreasing, so the energy is also decreasing. Okay. So this is how the thing happened. So what happened in the Big Bang, that the radiation which was formed, the microwave radiation, that was not of this range. So this range was not there when the first microwave radiation started. This microwave radiation happened, and after the microwave radiation, there was a period of darkness. And this period lasted around few million years. It means once the radiation happened, there was no visible light. And so this period is called the period of darkness, and this lasted around few million years. Now, after the age of darkness or the period of darkness, the visible light and UV radiation were formed. And in the last stage of this, the galaxies and stars, first galaxy then star, were formed. So initially there was a gravitational singularity which has infinite density, infinite temperature, very condensed fundamental forces. Then the Big Bang happened. The Big Bang means an explosion took place around 13.7 billion years ago. Then the subatomic particles were formed within the first 3 minutes. Within the first 3 minutes, subatomic particles were formed, and to make these particles stable, they itself combine and they form the atomic particle. And because hydrogen is the simplest to form, so this atomic particle, the first atomic particle which were created was the hydrogen. And after that microwave radiation happened. Because the microwave radiation is of different frequency and wavelength, so initially the microwave radiation which was created, visible light or the ultraviolet radiation was not present in that spectrum. As the time passes, there was a period of darkness which lasted around few million years, and after that visible light or UV radiation happened, and at the last galaxies and the stars were formed. Okay, so this is how from beginning to the formation of galaxy took place. Now here we will be discussing that how these galaxies and the stars were formed. Okay, so this is all we will be discussing in this chapter. The rest we will be discussing in the lecture 3. Okay, so what happened, there is a term that is called the nebula, and nebula is nothing but the cluster or cloud of gases. So this is called the nebula. So consider this as the cluster of gas. Okay, then in between there are some higher density gases present. This is nothing but due to the distribution of gases, there might be variation in the density. So this denser part, as we all know, will have a higher gravitational force. So these small and highly dense portion of this nebula starts to attract the gases surrounding. So now what happened, when this denser part started the attraction of the surrounding, there was an increase in the temperature due to the friction. Once the temperature starts increasing and it reaches to the point when the nuclear fusion is possible, because we all know that in nuclear fusion we need a very high temperature just to fuse the different atom, and in that process a blast took place and then the formation of other particle happened. So what happened, due to the attraction the temperature increases, and once the temperature reaches to the point where nuclear fusion is possible, the nuclear fusion, or the second name of nuclear fusion is thermonuclear reaction. Thermonuclear reaction took place, and with that a sudden blast happened, and with this, due to this nuclear fusion, this part of the nebula gets separated from the original one and it has created different celestial body. And this is how the formation of galaxy. And then within this part, suppose this part has been moved away from the original nebula, then within this itself we will find another denser particles, and these denser part will do the same what this smaller nebula has done with this bigger nebula. Okay, so this is the process which according to the theory has took place, and this is how the creation of galaxies and the stars happened. So I think that's all for this chapter, and let's close. मिलते हैं अगले लेक्चर में. Till then, bye bye, take care.